If you've already watched our second generation Mazda CX-5 range review, you'll know why this model, the Petrol Touring, is our pick of the 2017 lineup. But here we plan to take a deeper look into why this is the right car for you, from its pricing and equipment to its practicality and performance. With 12 CX-5 models to choose from, the Touring 2.5 litre petrol model is the one we thought offered the most desirable elements you might want in your new family SUV. The Touring was the sweet spot, we thought, primarily because of its price. It ducks in under that psychological barrier of 40 grand, well, at least before on-road costs for this 2.5 litre petrol all-wheel drive model. At $38,990 plus on-road costs, the Touring petrol model is one well-specified car. Standard are 17-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, daytime running lights and LED tail lights, and smart keyless entry by way of a little button on the door handles. Inside, there's a black fake leather trim with suede seat inserts, which is a nice step up over the cloth in lower versions, while Mazda's MZD Connect media system with rotary dial controller includes sat-nav, digital radio, Bluetooth phone and audio streaming, and there are 4 USB points, 2 up front and 2 fast chargers in the rear. There's also a head-up display with traffic sign recognition, push-button start, front and rear parking sensors, a rear-view camera, and plenty of other assistance items. Just like the base model CX-5, the Touring is comprehensively equipped when it comes to safety tech. There's blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, low-speed autonomous emergency braking in drive and reverse, and those are all handy bits whether you're in town or out in the country. In the previous generation version of the CX-5, space wasn't used to its best utility, but in this new version, things are a lot more roomy. In fact, the boot is 10% bigger than it was before. The back seat is about the same as it was before in terms of space, with less room than the best SUVs in the class. It lacks the clever sliding rear seat that some rivals have, meaning that taller occupants may feel a bit squished for knee room. Headroom and tow room is fine though, and rear seat occupants in this model will appreciate the rear air vents, which you don't get in the base model. The front cabin isn't vastly different to the model it replaces in that it's well presented and nicely finished, but there is more of a focus on storage this time around, with larger door pockets, a bigger center console, and more loose item storage. The MZD Connect media system remains a bit hit and miss. It is brilliantly intuitive with this rotary dial controller, but it can be a little bit glitchy. We've found that if you hang up a phone call, your music can come out blaring back at you. As well as that, you miss out on the latest in-car connectivity. There's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is a bit of a shame for a new generation Mazda. What isn't absent is Mazda's much touted Zoom Zoom driving experience. The 2.5 litre with all-wheel drive is a charming thing. Its outputs of 140 kilowatts of power and 251 newton meters of torque aren't huge, especially when you consider that they're only up 2 kilowatts and 1 newton meter compared to the previous model. But the fact of the matter is that the 2.5 litre offers better on-the-go acceleration than either of the other engines. And if you flick the Sport Mode button, it's actually pretty zippy. In that Sport Mode, the transmission acts really smartly. And even when you're not in Sport Mode, it's a clever gearbox. Mazda reckons that about 60% of CX-5 buyers will choose the 2.5 litre automatic all-wheel drive powertrain. And based on current sales figures, that's about 15,000 people every year. That's no small number, but we reckon that those buyers will be getting the best drivetrain for the car. The new model is a bit heavier than its predecessor thanks to the fact that it's now larger. But the fuel consumption hasn't gone up too much. Mazda claims that the 2.5 will use 7.5 litres per 100 kilometres, which is just 0.1 of a litre more than its predecessor. And as we've found in the past, these naturally aspirated engines from Mazda tend to be pretty true to the claim, provided you don't stay in sport mode too much. The all-wheel drive system is an on-demand unit, meaning there are sensors that detect if there's a need for extra traction at the rear axle. In normal running, the car will default to front-wheel drive. There's something to be said for the assuredness that that type of system offers you. If you need to climb up a grassy slope, you can. Worried about a sudden downpour? You needn't be. And the fact that there are so many kilometres of unsealed roads in this country means that you've just got that extra peace of mind. Higher spec models of the CX-5 get bigger wheels, and while they may look nicer, the ride is firmer. The previous generation CX-5 was a little sharp across all model grades, and while that has been improved in the new generation model, it's still not as supple over bumps as some of its main rivals. Road noise intrusion has been improved though. The steering is one of the things that gives the Mazda its unique feel on the road. It's quick and accurate at speed, although it can weight up a little oddly at times. Generally, it's a very good system, and it's light enough at parking speeds to make easy work of those situations. Mazda still has one of the shorter servicing requirements around, with maintenance necessary every 10,000 kilometres or annually, whichever occurs first. The pricing averages out at about $315 over 50,000 kilometres or 5 years, and while some competitors offer longer warranties, Mazda backs its cars with a 3-year unlimited K plan. Look, it isn't perfect, but as we found with our range review, the 2.5 litre petrol Touring is the best blend of practicality, pricing and performance in the second generation CX-5 range.